Hey everybody, Shawn here from theautomationblog.com, and in this episode of the Automation Podcast, I sit down with Marc and Harry from TATSoft to get an introduction to their software, FactoryStudio, which you could consider their own successor to the popular InduSoft Web Studio. Hey, Harry and Marc, thank you so much for coming on the Automation Podcast today. I'm really looking forward to hearing all about your product. But before we get started, could you guys kind of tell us what your roles are in the company?
Yeah, for sure. Thank you, Shawn. This is Harry McCollum here, and I am the president of TATSoft. And I'll let Marc just do a quick who he is, and then we'll kind of maybe follow with a little more background info.
Yes, he's Marc Taccolini. I'm TATSoft CEO and founder, and very happy to be here, and we'll talk more in a little bit.
Yeah, maybe just hop right into background. I'll start with my kind of personal background, if that's okay. And so I met TATSoft about 3 years ago, more as a implementer, and I've been in this marketplace for 30 years. And when I say this marketplace, kind of HMI, SCADA, real-time application development. And we met TATSoft. We were looking kind of for a newer technology to provide to our customers. And we implemented a few systems in some major applications, rather large mission critical systems. And then Marc and I kind of got to talking about future and where TATSoft's at, what they're doing, where they're going. I became greatly interested in that. And as of the first of the year, I've joined with the TATSoft team as the president. And really, my role, overall is to move the company forward and to increase our market share and market presence, not only in the U.S., but throughout the globe. And I'm excited to be with the group and working with Marc on a day-to-day basis, and the awesome team that we have at TATSoft.
Well,
Marc?
On my side, I've been working in that area around 3 decades. In fact, my first project was with an Allen Bradley 220, 3 or 4 PLCs in General Motors production line, getting data from HMI software running DOS. And at that time, it was so hard to do the applications with the software that I decided to start writing my own product. So that's what I did. So one company that I created and a product line I designed, and you may heard about InduSoft. That's a company I created around 20 years ago, originally with the name Unisoft. Then it became InduSoft. That company was quite successful on the end of the day after a very hard and complex negotiation issues. It ended belonging to being sold, and now is part of Aviva. And one thing, frankly, that I'm very proud of is that this product line, designed around 15 years ago, 10 years ago, is still mainstream in their product line. It means that architecture is still helping customers. Is pretty much the product they're using now is still the same architecture originally created by us. And the reason I decided to start TATSoft 10 years ago is I was feeling the needing to go to a new, more modern architecture. So not only my previous company, but most of the products on the past, they were based in more monolithic architecture, accessing directly the operating systems, and concepts like web, distributed applications, .NET framework. They are not really on the core of those products. And to be able to do that, you need 5 years or more, because you need years to create the products, find your niche applications, deploy those applications, and allow 1 or 2 years to be integrability on the system. So it's a very long-term process. So if I want to be where I'm now in 2020, I knew I had to start early, not looking for the short-term results that were great, but really make the effort for the long run. And that's what I did, creating TATSoft 10 years ago to create that new generation. And meeting Harry, it was really great, because the company reached last year the mature on the product line to go mainstream. But I was needing to find a person with enough market skills to do that. And Harry can talk a little bit more about his background, but he did that already to other main products in the markets. So this year, that when TATSoft and product line is mature enough to start to be mainstream, the timing to have Harry as present, it was really great.
Yeah. So, to just kind of build a little bit on what Marc said is, my background is, I started actually way back in the day, but I won't go that far back. But there was my affiliation with the Intolution company, which Steve Rubin was the founder of that company, and I met those guys when they were fairly just getting started in the industry, and we built basically a sales, marketing, support, and engineering services group around the Intolution company. We were very successful in the market, and it got us a great amount of experience working with major companies, major manufacturing companies, major industrial companies. So we've been there, supported, provided, product marketing information, all that kind of stuff for years. And our experience, or my personal experience, comes from the customers, really the major manufacturing companies and industrial companies and their real-time HMI, SCADA, MES kind of manufacturing intelligence applications. So quite a bit of history and background and experience that I bring to the table, as well as obviously the Marc and his group. So I think, we talked a little bit to the experience, the technology. Marc, if you want to kind of just overview the technology, we're going to get into a couple slides later on that will kind of break down what's inside our FrameworX platform. But Marc, if you want to give a little bit of an overview.
Yeah, and why we say 4th generation software, the first product we created was under DOS. To do the proper migration to Windows, we had to really redo complete from scratch. That was the 2nd generation. Then new technologies like object orientation, C#, Microsoft Foundation classes, they appeared around 15 years ago. That was the generation number 3. And my previous product line at TATSoft and many products, they are still what I call the 3rd generation. The 4th generation is when you get rid of the past again, and you create a new core, a new infrastructure, leveraging technology like .NET, distributed applications, web technologies, not only on the user interface, but to the core. So let me explain what that means with one example. Most people in our area are familiar with the concept of intrinsically safe instrumentation. And for the ones that are not, I will refresh the memory. Intrinsically safe instrumentation is a device that you can put in critical areas that it was designed so the current, the energy that flows on that device, even if you have a failure on that device, it will not harm your full installation. That's what I call intrinsically safe. It means, yes, it may fail, but the fail will be localized. And of course, the fail is quite unlikely by design as well. But most important is localized. When you recreate the platform 100% .NET, as we did, you achieve what you call intrinsically safe software, where the protections on cybersecurity, the protections if one piece of code fail, the system will keep running. You never you have things like blue screens. It's not because they're great programmers. Well, I like to think that we are. But beyond that, is because the technology you are using allows that isolation. So when you make the effort, and let's be clear, it's a huge effort. It's 3 or 4 years writing codes, or 2 or 3 years deploying the initial applications. It was an 8-10 years effort to be able to be here now, mature with a mainstream product. But when you do that, using those right technologies, rewriting, not trying to reuse components from the past, you use those technologies that have that built-in security. So in our system, if a driver to the PLC or a user script has some problem, all the application keep running and is able to recover. And that's because the careful selection and adoption of the technologies we have in the foundation of the products. That's it, Harry.
Okay. And, just I'm going to get into kind of our product family in a little bit, but we are basically the products that is out in the market is, we title it FrameworX. FrameworX is kind of the name of our entire platform. And then one of our products, and the most popular one in the market today, is our FactoryStudio. I want to talk a little bit about industries. Marc has been on a journey, and just because a lot of people haven't heard of us right now doesn't mean that we haven't been out there actively in the market, very successfully putting in and working with partners to implement systems around the world in many, many different industries. So this is just a sampling of the industries that we're working with today. The product is really a platform for enabling real-time applications, so it can be applied across many different kind of a horizontal approach, and we really rely on partners and specific customers to take us to vertical applications. So this is just a sampling of the industries. One of the key areas I think Marc alluded to in his introduction that we've been extremely successful with is OEMs, companies like instrumentation manufacturers, industrial computer manufacturers, even just very vertically oriented software suppliers have used our FrameworX platform and customized it to their specific vertical and markets. This is just an overview of some of the customers we're working with. We have many more customers at this point, but we really just wanted to kind of say, hey, we're out there and we are working with major companies in a variety of industries. So speak to the platform itself for a little bit here, and we are truly an open and universal platform, and what we provide is an environment and elements and functions to do the major things kind of that the X represents there, right? That's for our FrameworX technology, and inherent in our platform is the ability to connect to real-time devices. And we actually include within the platform a bunch of different protocols and connections to things like Rockwell, Siemens, OPC UA, and we'll kind of detail that out a little bit more in the future here, or in a couple slides from now. And then we provide a platform for aggregating and transforming this information to to provide your specific solution or application. We also have a rich set of graphical tools so that you can create visualizations. Makes it easy to create visualizations for multi-platform, for displaying scoreboards, dashboards, real-time graphical user interfaces, displaying the results of your analytics. We also included in the platform is a rich set of tools to develop custom analytics around using things like C# or Python. Anything else you want to add there, Marc?
No.
It's just
About
kind
the
of an
store and
overview.
databases.
Yeah,
Yeah, we got more in detail on that, but just to say that we're very open on that, to understand that different applications, they need different type of data storage. So we'll cover that in more detail in the future, but we don't have one single solution for that. We're able to have different solutions according to project and combine different solutions as needed. And as an introduction of this slide, before I give back to you, Harry, one thing that we do very nice in our application is not to have the data on the clouds or the data on the premises, but it's really to be able to allow the data, whatever is on the clouds or on the premises, be able to be used by the application, not having to migrate data from one side to another one. So a little parenthesis I'd like to do now. There are some applications that were great to run on premises, but they didn't have enough support for clouds. Then we have a wave where we have all those cloud products that were nice, but one little caveat. To fully leverage that platform, you need to give them all your data. You need to publish everything there. You need to move out all your data from the factory floor, from premise to the clouds. And that's not also the solution. There are some technical papers. If you want more information, you can write us on the blogs and we can give the referrals. That on industrial automation, 8%, 90% of the transactions and the data will still be on premises. So we design an infrastructure that doesn't matter if the data is on-premise, doesn't matter if the data is on the clouds, doesn't matter if using the on-premise or cloud components of our product line. We allow you to create applications accessing both environments, not having to migrate and publish data here and there, and really focus on what you want to deliver to the end users, what to deliver in analytics, not having to worry about, how I can get to my data, how I can do this. No. You have all the tools in our toolbox to manage those things in an easy way, so you can focus on the value, you can focus on the end user, you can focus on the information you want to present. That's for you now, Harry. Okay,
yeah, and I think, we really just wanted to talk here about just our open connectivity, right? I mean, a modern framework for industrial applications has to be open, and we provide all sorts of different interfaces and APIs to be able to talk to and from our system. And this is really, we've done a lot of work, as Marc alluded to, we've done a lot of work with integrators and large end users around some of the major historian packages in the market, where for whatever reason, the set of tools they have are not open enough or not powerful enough to provide them their specific applications. So we have some very robust interfaces to most of the process historians in the market. And then from an enterprise system, Marc alluded to the cloud, but we also have done through our partners, a lot of applications where we've interfaced to and from their business side systems like SAP and like Microsoft Dynamics.
Harry, can I have you go back to the previous slide for a second?
Certainly.
So this is kind of an interesting place to be, because I think, the way I usually think, and I think the way most products are, is they're like, you have to give us control. So if you want reports on historical data, we have to collect the data. Or if you want, if you want a dashboard, then we have to collect the data. Or, it seems like you're saying, if you have data in OSI, Soft's historian, or Canary Labs, you're logging it with that. Or if it's in a cloud somewhere, maybe AWS, you're not so concerned of where the data is or what PLC it's coming from. This almost seems like you'll work with all these different connectors to do your thing, and you don't have to. It does seem like it would be easier to fit this into an existing system, like you were saying. If I had 10 years worth of data in OSI Soft's historian, I could still plug your. Am I understanding this right? I could still plug your system in.
Absolutely, and the realities, right, of our market is people have been doing things like this for years. So what we did is designed a solution that can be, it's open and layered. It can be really put where you need it, and we're going to get into kind of the different product families that we have, but it's really based on our core kind of framework platform. And that's what we're saying is we don't have to be everything to everybody. We want to fit into your system and solve your specific problem, or we want to be a tool for the systems integrator to be able to say, you know what, my customer cannot do mobile, or he needs to get information from both Canary and the Rockwell historian, and combine that information, do some analytics on it. We can be the platform for that. We're kind of an open data hub, if you will, that can push, pull, transform. It's really much more than, a traditional SCADA or HMI type system. It's really a application enablement environment.
And not to give the full example now, because there is a video published, one of the TATSoft users conference from 2 years ago, a manager from Apache gave a presentation at the TATSoft UA, talk about a project they want to show some information of data that was on Pi with geo information, and they were struggling for 6 months, 1 year to do that project, and they were able to do a very reasonable, close to what they wanted application with us only within 3 weeks. And again, I'll make sure to share that on blog or someplace, the link for that presentation at the TATSoft Users Conference.
Okay, so this is a little bit more, of a conceptual look of what is in the box, what is included with our FrameworX platform. And, we kind of enable a whole set of applications, and where these start and stop is a little bit more vague today, but SCADA, HMI, MES, IIoT, Edge and Gateway, we're seeing applications in all of these areas, and we're basically designed to answer the needs of those specific type of applications. Core functionalities, kind of core within the box functionalities, built in are things like OPC UA. We even have a built-in SQL database. Certainly, we have connectivity any SQL or NoSQL database, but we also have a built-in SQL database to get you going. The minute you get going, you got a SQL database that you can interact with, log data to, or whatever you need to there. And Marc, if you want to kind of hit on any other specific things.
You read my mind. I was going to jump in exactly.
I know
now.
This is your favorite stuff here.
Because one thing I'd like to emphasize, the previous we're showing that we are open to connect and work very well with whatever you have right now or willing to use. But we have one concept that's very important, that we try to provide out of the box everything you need. So at the same time, we try to be open and work very well with any application to flow the data without having to migrate and consuming right away the data from other applications. At the same time, we have the concept to be everything on the box. So we have the built-in SQL, we have the built-in tools for alarms. We don't have those optional things that need, pick up this option, that option, or pick up that third-party products. You are able to do integration with third-party products for a couple of reasons, but our platform, we really put lots of effort on those last 10 years to be complete with everything that you need for those type of applications described. So if you're doing SCADA, HMI, MES, IoT, Edge, Gateway, or things they call nowadays situation awareness, real-time operation centers, decision support centers, all that kind of applications, we do have in the box everything that you need without having to go after third-party packages or going after optionals. Everything on the framework. Go ahead, Harry.
Yeah, so this is just to kind of talk a little bit about our product family.
Harry,
so
could I just ask you to back up a second? I'm so sorry.
No problem.
So guys, I'm seeing on this slide under operating systems, this is kind of catching my eye here. I'm seeing Windows. It seems like almost everybody does Windows and industrial automation, and that's it. But I'm also seeing Linux and iOS. Can you talk to me? I mean, does your platform run on Linux and iOS as well?
Oh, yes. What we did, for many applications, we see really a very good value in deploying in Linux. And we do have lots of experience in embedded operating systems. One thing I like to share, we were at my Unisoft company, the very first product in the market to bring a Windows CE HMI. That was many years ago. So we always had very good hands-on on embedded operating systems. So we can deploy it in Windows, the many flavors of the Windows, supported by .NET, but we also deploy our applications in Linux. And almost all and any flavor of Linux, from a Raspberry Pi to a high-end Linux server, yes, we can deploy our runtime. And about the iOS, it's a simple explanation. You can run HTML5 in your iPhone. You can run web page in your iPhone. But there is a reason. There are thousands and thousands of custom apps. Because if you create a custom app, not a web page, you can have enhanced security. You can have some more advanced tools on the user interface. So there are clear benefits on having a custom iOS app rather than a web page. Otherwise, people not be creating apps for iPhone. They just will give the links for the pages. So we can run our mobile applications in HTML5 that runs in any device. But for iPhones and iPads, we also have the native capability to run iOS directly.
Excellent.
Okay.
And
so,
one more
yeah.
parenthesis to
Go ahead,
close
Marc.
that, sorry, Harry.
Yeah, no
People
problem.
could not believe that you can write C# codes or VB.NET codes for your custom analytics and run that in an iPhone or an iPad. Because allegedly the iPhone and iPad were not supposed to support those .NET technologies. But thanks to the way we did the design, yes, if you use our framework, not only you can display your user interfaces in native iOS apps, but even run .NET code to some more advanced programming on that application.
Okay, so I just wanted to talk a little bit about our product family. Again, it's all based on the same core technology. You don't get a little bit of this and a little bit of that. It's just the way we kind of package it and size, if you will, the different products. And so we start, we go anywhere from edge. So we have anywhere from hundreds of kind of systems sized by IO points, hundreds of IO points, to hundreds of thousands of IO points. And so you can take this framework and skinny it down, put it out at the edge, do some real-time communications to your PLC or any device, and do some manipulation right there at the edge, and either push that information or connect to other enterprise systems or cloud-based systems. So we start kind of low-cost edge, and we go up to what we call our FrameworX Unlimited, which is a way to buy our platform with no limits, no IO limits, no client, unlimited clients, unlimited developers. So without going into a ton of detail on every little function what's in the software, that's kind of what I wanted to talk about our product family.
I want to just ask a question here. I'm looking at, and if anybody's listening, we got they have an item here listed as Edge HMI, and that I think that might answer my question from earlier when we were looking at all the different industries you're involved in. You had machine builders on there, and I'm like, machine builders? Machine builders, that's typically all they have is a small HMI. They don't typically have a PC, right? So it seems like Edge HMI, FactoryStudio, and then FrameworX, and it seems like the difference between FactoryStudio and FrameworX is that FrameworX is unlimited. It would, but can
yes.
can you talk to us, or maybe you have a slide coming up on this? Can you talk to us a little bit more about the Edge HMI and what that is? Because that's really in a machine builder's price range.
Yeah, for sure. And that's really what it was designed to do is, if you're at kind of the high end of our software, we recognize that it probably has way more functionality and way more capability than is needed at the edge, and at the Edge HMI, and it's really, you could call this Edge HMI or just HMI. It's really a skinny down version of the software, mainly for price point and functionality of an OEM. So, and Marc
I'd
talked
like
about
to
it.
put the skinny under quotes, because that gives a wrong idea, because many HMIs out there are, I want to save data in SQL. Oh, you can't. I want to do alarms. Oh, you can't. I want to do alarm notification. Oh, you can't. That's not the case with us. So our Edge HMI applications, the main factor is the application itself is small. Typically, is hundreds or few thousand points of PLCs. It's not hundreds of thousands. But other than that, not going all the details now, the functionality of the Edge HMI, it's very, very complete and very, very powerful. And you can deploy those HMI in Windows, any flavor of Linux, including the embedded versions, or you can deploy in Linux. And the pricing point, it's really, really very good to be able to be added as a component of the device in the true OEM model.
Yeah, good point. Good point, Marc. Yeah, so it is, skinny down in the fact that it, number of I/O and its support of, as a server to other clients, I think is probably the proper way to say it. But a lot of our functionality, and this diagram, and you can see this in more detail, kind of shows you what's the functionality that's included in there, and it is still a very powerful software development environment. So,
and for the ones that don't have the visual, they are only with the audio. For instance, specific examples on the HMI, we do not support our hot standby module because the HMI was not supposed on the application to be that. But the MQTT, the SQL databases, the alarms, the alerts, the trending, the archiving, all that's covered on the HMI for the ones that don't have right now the visual, only the audio.
Yeah, and just for those same people, the price range you're looking between, I'm going to just ask to round up $500 to $2,000 for a Edge HMI. That's the software license, I imagine. That's in a machine builder's range. I mean, machine builders are typically putting in $1,000, $2,000, or $3,000 HMI. So for the software part to be between $500 and $2,000, that is in a machine builder's range for the software portion of it.
Yes, and it is one of our key markets, and what we find is a lot of these machine builders are, they're kind of open sourcing their hardware, and then they're using our software, and that is a good, kind of price competitive and extremely functional system to move them kind of to the next generation. This is an example of the protocols that come kind of built into the system. I don't know if you want to speak to any of these directly, Marc.
Oh, yeah.
And then my quick comment would. Oh, I'm sorry.
Go ahead, Harry.
Yeah, my quick comment would be, we also have a toolkit that we can basically create any type of real-time device driver, and then the toolkit's also available for OEMs and software developers, so they could create their own also. And this is pretty much, a listing of the drivers that are included, but we also have some other drivers that are available.
Yeah, exactly. And just a side note on that, my team, when I licensed the technology for my previous companies, one thing that was great, we licensed the technology, but the core group of developers, they are pretty much working together for 2 decades now. So we do have an experience of having created more than 300 communication drivers over those 20 years. Many of those drivers, they were created under DOS or devices that are not being used. So when we start to recreate the drivers, the .NET platform, because we could not use the previous one, we had to redo to be compatible with the new technology. We found around 50 that are the ones more important. But want to be very clear that we not only have the toolkits to create new drivers, but we have a huge experience to add those drivers as needed. Okay, right now we support around 50 that we believe are really meaningful nowadays, and all those drivers are built in at the platform with no additional costs. There is no fee to use any of the communication interfaces, and specifically on the Rockwell drivers. For this new release upcoming, we put lots of effort fine-tuning, doing optimizations. So we can say that it's number one on the list because it's really a very, very good and high-performance control logics driver that we have right now.
Yeah, and I'll just add for anybody watch or listening, some of the drivers that would be of note for our viewers would be Rockwell. All the Rockwell ones are there. I see them, all the serial Ethernet, PLC5 Select Micro, but also Siemens S7 devices. We got a lot of Modbus support here, Mitsubishi. So, the Q and FX. So these are all products we've covered on the show, and there's a lot more than that on the list. But if you're listening, I did want
Yeah.
to throw those out.
And we support also some IT protocols like SNMP, ping, system monitor, in addition to the PLC protocols.
So, kind of leads us to where that's a little bit of kind of what's in the platform, and then kind of where we're going. So kind of major themes on where we're going for our software as it evolves, and we get more and more applications out there. Connectivity, which we were just speaking to and talked to on several slides. Connectivity is key. We're constantly enhancing drivers, like Marc mentioned on the Rockwell driver. We're working a lot on Siemens and some of the Siemens native OPC UA interfaces and things like that. We're always looking at ease of use. We are a development platform. We come out of the development world, and we are extremely powerful, but are always looking at how do we improve the tools for ease of use on the development side. And then mobile and HTML5 are major themes kind of moving forward, and they go hand in hand with us. And I'll let Marc talk a little bit about some of the things in 9.1, but that's some of the things that are coming in our 9.1 release, which is basically right around the corner for us. It's coming out here between now and the end of the year. So Marc, if you want to hit on some of the major things
there are
here.
many interesting things like HTML5 or .NET responsive dashboards, Visual Builder for queries, and if you have only the audio, try to get the image or go to our website later to see all the details. But I will put highlighting 3 of them. One of them is the built-in MQTT broker. So like I explained, we can run our software connection with any broker, but we also like the concept to be a one-stop solution. So when you deploy the software without any additional installation, not only you have the MTT client driver, but as well you have a built-in MTT broker. So if you are exploring those IoT technologies, we can, with a simple one-stop installation, have everything you need to publish, subscribe data between your HMI, sensors, PLCs, and applications consuming that data, like SCADA, alarms, stores, and billing. And that's also built in the products. And another feature that's quite interesting is the ability to have that smart flow connectors. So if you're doing some process diagram with power or with data flow, and you are monitoring the many connections of that, we have the ability to connect those symbols. So if you one symbol, you read the real-time data, you lose that device, all the display will automatically update it. We do the calculation to know which paths of the network still have power, or which paths of the network we still have data. So in addition to have all the next symbols to put the connectors, so graphically, when you move an object, the connections, they move around without you having to redraw. But it's not only the drawing. We have the built-in logic behind that drawing to update the status of the symbol, to update the status of the paths, based on if there is energy or gas or water or data flowing in that path. That's one of the features. And another one is about coding, Python and C#.
Yeah, let's go to that.
Yeah. We do have the ability, when you're creating our codes, to select between C#, VB.NET, or Python. And because it's really an open architecture, you don't need to select, oh, but which version of Python? Anyone, or the latest one. We don't have that limitations that's typical of the previous generation. Oh, which versions of Windows do you work and which versions of this you work? The answer in our case is always yes and all, okay? But going back to that functionality, we understand different people are more familiar with different languages. So we support all of them at the same time, the project. And in between C# and VB.NET, we even have the ability to do the real-time translation of that code. So you've received some code that someone wrote in C#, but you are a VB guy. You just use our codes, and you can see that code in VB right away. That's an example of kind of support we have for the programming tools.
I know a lot of. Good.
Go ahead.
No, I was just going to say, I know a lot of us who've done a lot of SCADA, we've done a lot of VB. And C# is also extremely popular. So that's actually really cool.
Oh, yes. And you can also make a play with your friends, say you learn C# in one day, because you can write your big application in VB, use the translation, and ship the application in C#. Anyway, we have very strong support to customization, because we understand that many projects, you don't want to do any coding. So we have lots of built-in templates. We have lots of built-in symbols. So you can drag and drop the base application with no programming. I want to make that clear. We have those features. But very likely in a more advanced project, you need customization. Very likely a more complex solution, you need to have some coding. So that's why we don't need Visual Studio. We don't need a third-party tool. All the functionality that you have, the .NET, VB, or C#, we have the programming tools, the debugging tools, the translation tools, the step-by-step, everything built in the platform.
Okay.
Some screenshots.
Yeah. Go ahead, Marc.
No, that's it.
Yeah.
You take
this. Yeah. No, this was just kind of a splash of basically a bunch of the demo apps that we've done just to kind of show off, some of the rich graphics and applications that we can create. And these, kind of base applications, when you download our demo, you basically are going to get these base applications so you can kind of explore the software and see some of the power of what you can produce with our software.
And to be not too much on time, I'll talk all about only one case study, that's automation for electric utilities. Because a typical question we receive, I like all that. How it's possible? I never heard about you. And the reason is the first years of the company, we're not only making the product line become more mature before trying to go mainstream, but we're also mainly working through brand labels. So we have many and many thousands of applications all over the world deployed through those brand label partners. And there is one brand label that 3 months ago, we got his authorization to make the partnership public because it was private when we signed a few years back. That's a company called Spin. They have more than 400 SCADA applications all over the world. Some of those applications are very, very large. One of the biggest seats power management in Brazil is running by our software through that partner. They have lots of applications in wind and power plants using custom protocols like GNP and ESC. And that's just one example of a vertical that our platform is enabling. Because as Harry pointed out, we are more a horizontal component product. But we do have those partners. So the only thing that's changing now, thanks with Harry stepping in as president, is we're going mainstream, but we have that huge basis of experience. And you want to complete on that, Harry?
Yeah, I think, I think that's mainly what we had to say about that application. And, kind of this, would be kind of our wrap up here, is just, leave everybody with kind of why FrameWorks, why TATSoft, why are we different, and a good, strong alternative in the market. And, these are kind of our major themes is, we provide, a complete platform, a complete framework for developing your industrial applications. We include a lot of functionality in the box. We're scalable. You can go from a small edge or a small edge HMI to a unlimited system. So hundreds of IO to hundreds of thousands of IO. One standalone to many clients, so unlimited clients, obviously with restriction of your hardware side. We're powerful, built on .NET to the core, powerful platform built, on from scratch, not on more modern technology, unlike some of the legacy stuff out there. We have, very rich environment for graphics and for coding and connectivity. Everything is really there. We're flexible in that you can use our entire framework, or you can use a subset of our framework and deploy it in many different manners on many different platforms. And then security, as Marc said, the kind of the intrinsically safe, security, again, at the root of the system, and, kind of designed easily to be fully redundant. Things like audit trails built in. We've passed and worked with pharmaceutical companies, major electrical distribution companies, and passed all sorts of security specifications and different audits along the way. Anything to add there, Marc, on close?
Yes, just the 4 keywords for people that have only the audio. The 4 keywords, just wrap up, was complete, powerful, flexible, and secure.
I'll throw in there too for anybody watching the FERC and NERC, FERC and NERC. I don't know if you guys do a lot with that, because I know that becomes a big concern with. I don't know if you guys have anything to say about those, but I've heard many customers bring those up.
I will give some comments and allow Harry to wrap up. But oil and gas was from the very beginning, because our partnership with TATSoft, very important market for us. So we do have to go through all NERC requirements, network security, level 1, 3, 3.5, all things around with that. And that was happening 5 years ago, not now. We're really starting to deploy our first applications. And the same for pharma, CR22. So I will allow Harry to wrap up that.
Yeah, no, I'd just like to close with, thanks, Shawn, for giving us an opportunity to introduce TATSoft to your audience. And, we're very gung-ho on basically, continuing our journey to kind of provide an alternate, powerful platform for industrial applications, from edge to HMI, SCADA, and, unlimited possibilities there. So,
well, I appreciate you guys coming on the show. It's very interesting, because I do know, talking to some of the other manufacturers, that they're in R&D now on their 4th generation. And so many of the products that are actually on the market right now are 3rd generation. I'll say SCADA HMI products, and you can definitely see how the legacy pieces of them are affecting us in 2020. It's almost a burden in some ways. So very interesting. You guys, it seems like from my standpoint, from where I'm sitting, you guys may have a lead here on the fourth generation where you're not burdened by all that legacy code, because this is a brand new rewrite of a fourth generation package. So I find that very interesting. And I probably should ask, and if you guys could humor me, where did the TAT come from? What does TAT stand for?
Well, some people say because my last name is Taccolini, or tag, assets, and templates are also key to the product.
Okay.
But the origin, all that's true. But the first origin was really tat. It's a word of Sanskrit, the ancient Indian language.
Oh.
And tat in Sanskrit means the reality, the manifested universe, the tangible part of the universe. So if you Google Sanskrit and tats, you find the meaning of that word. It's a philosophical concept, very important in some ancient traditions.
That was deeper than I thought. Thank you. Do you guys have anything else you want to go over? Or was that it?
Just on my side, really thank you very much for the opportunity to let people know that for the ones that never heard about us, you may have heard about us indirectly through my other business. And we work in that new generation very hard the last 10 years to make it to the point to start being more widely used. We're happy with the opportunity and excited for the future.
Well, I want to thank you both for coming on the show and for Tolga for putting it together, and just really appreciate the time. We are going to include in the description of the podcast, whether you're listening or you're watching, we're going to include some links so you can find out more about the product, maybe see some videos and whatnot. And I'll get those from the guys at TATSoft, and we'll make sure all of those are included in the description so you can just go down there and click on it to learn more. And again, gentlemen, thank you so much for coming on the show.
Yeah, thanks again, Shawn.
Thank you.
I want to thank Marc and Harry for coming on the show again and giving us that overview of Factory Studio. And if you enjoyed that show, please remember to give us a like and a sub. With that said, I want to wish you all a very happy, safe, and healthy week. And until next time, my friends, peace.